Hello you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. It is the definition of a nice, well, I wouldn't say a nice summer day out, but you know, when it's been really hot for a long time, and like, listen, I love the heat so much. I think you guys know that about me. But when there's like a little bit of a break from the heat and it's really cool and crisp out and like the AC is going inside and you can wear like a little pullover, it's just truly the best. It's like nice to have a little bit of a gloomy, rainy-ish day so that you don't feel guilty being stuck inside working all day. So anyways, I just painted the scene right now. The trees are rustling in the wind. It's overcast, but it's not supposed to rain, but it's kind of chilly out. It's pretty early. It's like 8:13 in the morning, but you know, we film a video when we film a video, you know? We got to get things done before work. So we're filming nice and early today. I just had a coffee, so I'm feeling jazzed. I'm feeling fired up. We're comfy cozy today, and I'm really excited to go over my July budget and then also share my August budget with you guys and just kind of how we budget for a new month. And yeah, if you guys are new here, my name's Carter. I talk all about getting through life in your 20s unfiltered. I forgot a part. I'm 27. I just turned 27. So now I'm closer to 30 than I am 20, which is quite scary. But that's something we can unpack in a different video. And yeah, these videos kind of are meant to feel like just FaceTiming, hanging out with a friend. I feel like when you keep personal finance content very casual and approachable, that's what makes people want to get into it and start budgeting. I feel like for so long, budgeting and finances were such a taboo topic and something that a lot of people didn't really understand. And I can say that for myself, that when I started getting into personal finance because I wanted to pay off my consumer debt back in like 2019, 2020 and pay off my student loans, finances felt like very scary to approach and I didn't know how to do it. And I feel like having this very casual, no judgment free area really helps people want to take control of their finances and get into budgeting. And I say this all the time, but I used to quite literally not even have $5 to put in my car for gas because I just didn't know how to spend my money. And now I like actually look forward to budgeting and seeing where my money is going. I always have to give the biggest shout out to Zoe because she is my inspiration behind these videos. Zoe Pritchard, she is another Canadian creator who does a lot of like chatty vlogs and personal finance content that's just very low key, but like in a good way, like just very low key, chatty, raw, casual. And I took a really big break from creating personal finance content for the first half of this year just because I felt like personal finance had to be so rigid and structured and it wasn't really bringing me joy to create anymore. And I'll never force myself to create content that doesn't bring me joy. And Zoe's personal finance videos are what got me back into it. So a huge shout out to her. She is my inspiration for all things personal finance, and I just love her so much as a person. We're like friends and she's just a great human being. So if you guys don't watch her, you definitely should. Okay, we're gonna start with a little reflection because I think it's so important to just like reflect, whether you're talking to yourself, like this, no judgment here. Sometimes I talk to myself. I mean, I talk to a camera, but just reflect on how the previous month went, because I think you can take a lot of that and implement it into your next month's budget, right? So if you're like, man, I feel really crappy about money this month, or I didn't save enough this month, or I didn't even hit my investing minimum, you can kind of say, okay, well, next month, the first priority I have is making sure that I hit that investing minimum. And I want to spend less on groceries and maybe more on, for example, one of our goals for July was to spend more on eating out because it's just not something we do often. So anyways, let's chat about kind of how I feel about money right now. I don't know if neutral is the right word, but it was an average month. I think average is a good word. It wasn't bad by any means, but it wasn't like fantastic. And I still hit my savings minimums, but I kind of just feel very like neutrally about money this month, I guess is probably the best way to put it, neutral and average. I did have to pull from my emergency fund because I had a car repair, which is why emergency funds are there. But it always, I mean, if you have the choice to leave the money there or use it, you're gonna want to leave it. I did get to use my sinking funds this month, which that was one of my 2024 goals, was to better utilize my sinking funds. So I'm really happy about that. Groceries were lower than usual. I do split groceries with my husband. We kind of just take turns. So it ends up that some months he spends more on groceries than I do and vice versa. This was definitely a month where I think he spent more. We did spend more on eating out. Granted, I did have 2 weekend trips, so I think that kind of played a factor into that as well. Shopping was a little bit higher than usual. It was our birthday month. I bought myself a birthday present, which I don't normally do. Other than that, actually, the shopping was pretty good this month. It was just that I bought myself like a bigger present. Gas was a bit higher than usual just with my road trip. Overall, I'm just kind of feeling like it was an average month. I am feeling a little bit unmotivated, and we'll get into this in the savings goals portion after we go for the July budget. I really struggle when I don't have a concrete savings goal. And now that we do have one, we discussed it this month, I'm feeling really, really good. But I feel like these last few months I've just kind of felt very, unmotivated with saving, just because we haven't had a concrete goal. And I'm just someone who really needs that concrete goal in mind, right? Like when we bought our first house in 2020, knowing I had to save XYZ by the closing date, I was so motivated. Or knowing I had to save XYZ to elope, or we had a deadline for a payment. Like I just felt really motivated with that. And when we don't have one, I just really, really struggle. I struggle to save just to save. That's something Matt is really, really good at, and I am not. I just need that like goal to motivate me. So now that we have one, I'm hoping I can kind of get back on track with being motivated, but I've just been kind of struggling, honestly, with motivation. So anyways, that's how I'm feeling about money this month. Let's jump into a little recap of my July budget. I'm gonna shift you guys over. Let me know, do you guys prefer when I do the screen sharing or just share the little tables up here? I know a few of you have said that when I do the screen sharing, it's a little blurry, so I've just been sharing the tables, but let me know which one you guys prefer. Yeah, I guess I can share with you guys kind of just like an overview of my budget for the month. I'll put it here in case you guys are curious what my budget spreadsheet looks like. I always have it linked down below. Always trying out new budget spreadsheets. It's just something I love doing. These aren't my budget spreadsheets ever. A lot of people think they are, they're not. They're just Etsy shops that I love. And yeah, I don't make any commission from them or anything. I just like to buy budget spreadsheets and like tweak them, and I really, really like this one. I'm a very visual person, so seeing the progression in the budgeted column versus the actual really, really helps me out, and I love the graphs and very user friendly. So yeah, let's get into a little budget recap for July. Income was a pretty good month. It was a little higher than usual only because of the sinking funds. I don't usually put my sinking funds in my budget spreadsheet. I don't want to say they skew the numbers, but for example, my shopping looks like it was a lot this month because I used sinking funds to cover some of it. So I don't know, let me know. Do you guys put your sinking funds in your budget spreadsheet? I haven't decided, but I wanted to include it this month so I could show you guys where I would put it if I did put it in my budget spreadsheet. So we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Paychecks were a little bit higher than usual, which is great. I always budget off the lowest possible paycheck. That way if I make more, great surprise. And if I just make that, I've already budgeted for it and allocated for it. I work a part-time corporate job, so I'm paid hourly. I did pay myself in the business this month a little bit just to hit some of those savings and investing goals. It's the first time I paid myself in the business in April, I want to say. So that was kind of nice that I got a few months without paying myself from the business. Just $823.45 of my sinking funds. So that's kind of a little bit of an income summary for July. And then expenses. This is where it gets fun. It was definitely a little bit of a higher spend month. Granted, most of this, like if I take out what I spent from sinking funds, so if I take 2161.27 minus 823.45, 1337 is what I spent like out of pocket allocating from my paychecks and rollover, which is still higher than I like to see. I did have a low spend June because I kind of anticipated July being a bit higher of a spend with both of our birthdays, and then I road tripped obviously to Connecticut, so there's a bit more eating out, a bit more shopping. I really struggle, especially since we bought this house and having a fixer-upper, I really struggle to spend money on myself. I really struggle with it. I always feel like, oh man, like that's money I could have spent on the house. And so having the sinking funds was really nice because I did go shopping in the States while I was there, but I had put money aside into my fun money category, which is kind of just like I can spend that however I want. So that was nice to be able to treat myself, like not having to feel guilty about it because the money was already put aside. But it was still a little bit of a higher spend month, but those are going to happen. And you know, I feel like at the end of the day, as long as the purchases were well thought out and you allocated money for it, it is what it is. So let's go through those categories. Groceries, like I said, was a little bit lower than usual. I feel like Matt took on a bulk of the groceries this month. I was also just gone for 8 days. I feel like I spent less on groceries, but to even it out, eating out was a bit higher than usual. We did go out to eat twice. Our birthdays are both in the same week, so we went to eat out 2 weeks in a row. We went out for dinner, which the last time we went out for dinner at a restaurant was in May. We don't go out to eat at restaurants a lot just because I feel like it's getting really expensive and I never really have like that amazing of a meal that I'm wowed. But we did go out to eat twice, which was nice, but I feel like we do it once or twice and then we're just the kind of people that would way rather get takeout, or like we will, for example, Matt this month bought like nicer steaks at Costco for us to cook on the grill instead of going out to eat. So I'm not upset about that. because I know it's also not something that we'll continuously do. I feel like it's kind of one of those one-off months. Coffee was a little bit lower than usual. I get coffee with my mom every Saturday and we take turns paying, but I was gone 2 weekends out of the month, so my coffee was $26 this month. Miscellaneous shopping, this is where it gets interesting. A bulk of that, I'd say about half of that was my trip to the States. I had put aside $500 for shopping, which sounds like a lot, but the dollar is just so shitty right now, you guys. It's so bad. So technically in USD, I only spent about $350, but it was about $500 Canadian. And then I did buy myself a paddleboard for my birthday. So that's kind of where the rest of that money comes from in the miscellaneous shopping. I've been wanting one for years. And then Matt was like, you should do it. I actually ended up getting money from my parents for my birthday that I just haven't put into the budget yet. I got some cash that I'll apply towards that. But yeah, the bulk of that was just shopping in the States with our shitty Canadian dollar. Appointments, I got my nails done. That was $56.50. Didn't spend any money on the dogs this month. Gas was a little bit higher this month just because I did have that road trip. I was able to get there and then about halfway back on one tank, which was pretty good. And then I filled up the other half back, and that's been able to hold me over because I just haven't driven much since then. Not honestly awful. I get about 800 kilometers out of my Elantra. She is a stellar driving road trip queen. We love her. So that's how much I spent on gas, and gas is also cheaper in the States. I filled up, and even with the conversion, it was like a tank here cost me about $80, and there I think it cost me about like 60 Canadian. So gas was definitely a bit cheaper in Connecticut when I was there. I spent $58 on the house. That was just like I did a stock up of sanding blocks, nails, wood filler, not very exciting things. Treating others, that is where the rest of my sinking fund money came from. So that was, I got Matt an inflatable kayak for his birthday so we could go paddleboarding and kayaking together. And I had been putting money aside in our celebration sinking fund for that. So that was all the expenses for the month. Like I said, a little bit of a higher spend month for sure. Subscriptions and bills was pretty average. Actually, it was a little bit lower than I thought. Mortgage, I split that with Matt. Our small bills were smaller than anticipated, which was great. I think it's just because it's summer and we're not, you know, heating the house. Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of a break from the utilities in the summer, obviously, compared to the winter and like heating a house in minus 30-degree weather. So yeah, small bills were smaller, which is great. We didn't have property taxes this month. We pay our property taxes outside of our mortgage, which is biannually. So I think it's May and September, or June and September. So that's coming up in the next few months. Car payment, car insurance, and gym were all the same. Matt and I are on a family plan for the gym, so I just pay that because he pays, what does he pay? The internet or something. So we just like trade off. I always get asked this. We don't have our finances combined, and we probably won't. Just, I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This works for us. So we don't have our finances combined. And then my two subscriptions are Netflix and my Oura Ring. All right, quick rundown of savings, sinking funds, and investments. So I kind of did a lot of my like minimums this month. So I did my minimum investments, and then I did $250 into my emergency fund so I can try and kind of get that built back up because I did have to take from it. It took about $750 out for my car repair. So if I put $250 a month for the next 3 months, we'll be back to kind of like where I was before, and I was kind of happy with that number for now. And then I did allocate some money into sinking funds. I put $200 of fund money, $100 into celebration, and then $200 into pet. And I forgot something. I cannot believe I forgot this. The reason I put $500 into my sinking fund was because I made $500. I sold a camera on Facebook Marketplace, so that actually brings my income up as well. I'll put the new adjusted amount here. But I was like, why does my monthly balance look so small? I definitely have more than $293 in my checkings account. That all makes sense now. So typically anytime I get like miscellaneous income from, I don't know, selling something or a bonus from work, I try to distribute it just into savings and investments. So that's why I was like, why did I pick $500 for my sinking funds this month? But that is why. So that is a recap on all of my July spending. Now I'm gonna move you guys back over. Now let's chat savings goals, how we're doing. I'll usually do like a little bit of a touch base on my yearly goals. Matt and I will chat over our goals and how they're going. If we have, we don't really have like separate financial goals, but we did do a big touch base this month in terms of what our project's gonna be for next year for the house, because we try to do one big project a year. And I actually asked you guys over on Instagram, I was gonna do like an updated little chatty catch-up Q&A. I got so many questions just about like besides the house, what are your savings goals? What are your current savings goals, etc. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but the house is really all we're saving for right now. Yeah, that's just kind of the phase of life we are in. Like, that is our main priority. I feel like we bought a fixer-upper at a specific time in our life when we knew that we could focus on that, because I've already paid off my student loans. I had 1 year of student loans to pay off. I don't have any consumer debt. We've already bought the house in the sense of like, we've saved for a down payment or pulled from our RSPs, whatever, put that money on a down payment. And then, as you guys know, or if you guys are new here, we sold our so we bought a condo in 2021 at like COVID interest rates. Our interest rate is like 1.8 on the home. Spent a year and a half kind of modernizing our condo with the goal. We always knew we were gonna kind of like quote unquote flip that house. So we did like a very, we call it like sad white renovation in that house. And so we sold our condo in the fall of last year. And then we actually bought this house cheaper. That was always, or that was hopefully the goal, was to sell our condo at a profit and then buy this house cheaper so that we would make a little bit of money that we could put into this house, which is exactly what we did. And in Canada, you can port your mortgage. So we were able to just port the mortgage that we had. We bought cheaper, so just ported what we needed to for this house. We did make a little bit of money that we just put back into this house. Now our goal is fixing up this house. That's like our current savings goal, right? Like, we already are married. The only other savings goal we have right now is our honeymoon, but we just don't know how much we are going to need to save up for that yet. And I'll keep you guys posted when we do know, because I've mentioned this before, like, to be transparent, as you guys know, we eloped and we paid for that out of pocket, but we did have family that wanted to help us out, and that money would have been in a traditional sense to help for a wedding, but because we eloped, we're using some of that for our reception that we're having in a few weeks, and then the rest of it will go into our honeymoon fund. And so we kind of just want to see what's left after our reception. And then I also want to do kind of like a mock budget, not mock budget, but like beginning stages of planning the trip budget to kind of see how much we need to have saved, and then we can kind of figure out the difference that we need. We will be saving for our honeymoon as well, like short term, but the house really is our main savings priority right now. The only debt that we have, or I have, outside of the house is my car, and I'm not paying that off early. I don't really feel like it. I feel like there's multiple, I always say this, there's multiple right ways to approach your finances. Some people don't want to have like a car loan hanging over their head, which is totally understandable. I have such a good interest rate on my car, it's like 2%, that I'd rather take that money I'd be putting additionally on my car to pay it off early and put that into investments and have that grow. Nothing wrong with paying your car off early. Like, absolutely go for it. Like, you do what works best for you and what you feel debt-wise like resonates with you. But for me, I'd rather just kind of let that money grow in the market, and then I'm gonna have my car until it hits the hay. So I'm not in a rush to pay it off, honestly. And who knows, maybe I'll change my mind in 6 months. The great thing is I can always change my mind and want to pay it off early. But for now, I don't have the intention to. So I don't, like, other than my car, we don't really have any, and the mortgage, I guess, we don't really have any debt that we're trying to pay off rapidly. So the house really is our savings goal, which that was such a long-winded answer, but that's just what our goal is right now. And then it will be our honeymoon as well. I've mentioned this before, but one of my yearly goals was to beef up my emergency fund. I feel like we've just had to pull from it for a few reasons with the house and stuff, and that's why you have emergency funds, but I feel like I haven't really been getting anywhere with that. Those are kind of like at a quick glance what our goals are, and then of course just keeping up with investments. I feel like I have always thought you had to put like big chunks of money into investments, but I've realized now that consistent little amounts of money do also add up as well. And then also just reviewing my sinking funds. So keeping in the back of my mind, right? We have 4 main sinking funds, or 5, I guess, sorry. We have a pet one, home one, celebration fund money, and then travel. A lot of our travel does fall under work. Is great, but you still have to pay for it. Like, I still have to budget from the business point, which I actually find harder because the income that you get from brands is really inconsistent. Like, you just don't know when you're going to get paid. I actually have like a travel sinking fund in my business account as well that I put money aside for when we have trips. Long story short, we have 5 sinking funds, and I like to do like a mid-year check-in with that, which is kind of what I did this past month. So pet, I know that Stella has her annual in November, and then Lila has hers in May. They're on like really different schedules just based on when we adopted Lila. So I know that I need to have half of Stella's vet visit covered by November, because Matt and I would split that. I want to have about $800 in there just to be safe. I like to have a little bit extra too. Her annual vet visit is probably gonna be around $600 with like all the shots and stuff. Honestly, we usually just tack on the dog food into our grocery expense category since we usually get it at the grocery store. But I like to have money set aside for the girls. Just, we never really know. Now that I've done a bit of a review on our sinking funds and what I kind of need for the rest of the year, I'm going to prioritize kind of just beefing that up as quick as I can. That way I can shift my focus, and then the additional income. Sinking funds are short term, so I guess I could say short term to medium term goals that we have. So like our home repairs for next year, and then also our honeymoon. And yeah, so enough babbling about the savings goals and all that. I like to chat it through with you guys. Let's go over really quickly what my August is looking like for budget. Okay, income super quick. It's the same every month. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen for you guys. I always budget off of the same amounts. Expenses, groceries I actually put a little bit lower this month because I'm actually working with a grocery store brand in August, which I'm really excited about. And when you're creating content for a brand, you are able to expense that. So I'm hoping it's about like a week of groceries that I'm able to expense based on the content that I am gonna make for them. I'm gonna do like a grocery shopping for a week for $100 Canadian. So that is why my grocery budget is a little bit lower this month. Eating out, I just put back to the standard 100. I don't think we'll be going out to eat at all. And we usually just get takeout. We honestly usually get fast food. We're fast food people. So $100. Coffee, I put 40, 10 a week feels pretty standard to me. I've been really enjoying going out to get coffee on like Fridays or a Wednesday just to break up the work week. However, I will say we have a Breville. We got it used on Facebook Marketplace a year and a half ago, and it was like the best money we ever spent because I never want to go get coffee out anymore because our coffee at home just tastes so much better. So I will say if you are struggling with like spending money out a lot on coffee, highly recommend looking into getting like a higher end coffee machine. Facebook Marketplace has really great deals. We got ours for like $300. It's like $1,000 machine, and it was the best investment we ever made because we never really want to go get coffee out anymore. It's great. So miscellaneous shopping, I put 150. Health and wellness, nothing. Nails, I should put probably the exact amount, 56.50. Car and gas, I put 150 just to be on the safe side. I think I'm going to be doing a lot of driving with our like reception and stuff, like going back and forth from my parents, and it's only a 35-minute drive, but I feel like the gas kind of adds up. So then I have $50 in treating others. Brianna and Corey are coming to stay with us for a reception, and I want to put together like a little like Canadian goodie basket for them. So I just wanted to have some money allocated to pick up some like Canadian only goodies, like ketchup chips, I guess. And then for activities, I have $100. We are, I think, gonna go to the water park this month. I thought that would be really fun to do with Brianna and Corey. So I put aside money so that I could get my ticket amount. I'll probably just like buy our own tickets and then pay for parking. Like I said, if I stick around the $1,000 mark for variable expenses, I will be happy this month. Subscriptions and bills, pretty standard. Mortgage, small bills. I always overshoot on the small bills. That way, if they are $200 each, I'm not like shocked once again scrambling. It's already been budgeted for, but if it's lower, fantastic. Car payment, car insurance, and then our 2 subscriptions. We did recently downgrade our Netflix. I really don't like care if I have to watch ads, honestly. It really doesn't bother me, and I'd rather pay that than pay $20 for like no ads. So yeah, we pay for the cheap Netflix. I just downgraded us actually. And then in terms of investments and sinking funds and savings for the month, I'll of course budget my minimum investments, and then like I said, my priority for the next like month or 2 is really just like stockpiling those sinking funds. That way I can get those filled up, ready to go, out of the way. So $100 in the pet, which will be standard. Home, I put $500. That way I can kind of start putting money aside for that bigger project for next year. Celebration, $100. Once again, we're doing the $100 a month for 5 months for Christmas, getting ready for that. And then I typically don't buy my presents till November anyway. So that is my budget for August. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I have a bunch of other videos as well. So if you guys have like a specific question or you kind of want more of a breakdown on the steps, I have a ton of videos for you guys to watch if you are interested. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you did your August budget with me, or you like closed out your July budget with me. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.